It's something we see every single day, the wild difference in how people use their social media. And today, we're jumping straight into the psychology behind it all. Why some people seem to share every waking moment, while others are, well, practically ghosts online.
I mean, you've totally wondered about this, right? You're scrolling, and there's that one friend posting their coffee, their cat, their thoughts on last night's TV show. And then you've got another friend whose profile picture is from 2017. What is actually going on behind the scenes?
We pretty much see these two camps, don't we? You've got the oversharer, whose life is basically a public diary, and then the observer, who seems totally fine just lurking. Now, you probably know exactly which one you are, or maybe you're somewhere in the middle, but it's those observers, the quiet ones, that we tend to make some snap judgments about.
And this is where we get to the heart of it. We're about to debunk a huge myth. Let's dig into the common and, let's be honest, often totally wrong ideas we have about people who stay quiet online.
Yeah, you know the list. We've all been there. We think, oh, they must be shy, or maybe their life just isn't that exciting. Or worse, we jump to this idea that they must be insecure, too afraid to put themselves out there and face what people might say. These are the easy answers.
But here's the twist. This is where it gets really, really interesting. What if that silence, what if that lack of posting isn't about weakness or fear at all? What if it's actually a sign of some serious psychological strength?
Okay, so if it's not what we think, what's the reality? Well, the first piece of this puzzle is a basic personality trait that has absolutely nothing to do with being boring. It all comes down to privacy. So the official term is privacy orientation, and it's basically just a fancy way of saying that some people are naturally wired to keep their personal life, well, personal. For someone with a high privacy orientation, sharing all those details doesn't feel good. It feels like they're giving away a piece of themselves. So it's a choice, a deliberate move to protect their inner world, not a fear of the outside one. Now, let's take that idea and pair it with the second piece, which honestly might be even more powerful. This one is all about where we get our sense of value. You could call it our internal compass. It's called the internal locus of evaluation. I know, it's a mouthful, right? But all it really means is that your sense of validation comes from inside you, not from likes, comments, or shares. It's like you have your own built-in GPS for self-worth. You don't need to constantly ask other people for directions to feel good about yourself. You're the one in the driver's seat. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got internal validation. The feeling is, I feel good about this thing I did, period. On the other side, it's all external. I need other people to hit like on this thing I did so that I can feel good about it. See the difference? One is about the experience itself. The other is all about how that experience is received by everyone else. So let's put these two big ideas together. You've got someone who really values their privacy, and they have a strong internal compass for their self-worth. When you connect those dots, you get something pretty amazing, a real, deep sense of inner security. The path just makes so much sense when you see it like this. You start with valuing privacy, you add a strong sense of self-validation, and what do you end up with? This powerful feeling of being secure and clear about who you are. The need to constantly perform your life for an online audience, it just kind of melts away. And this is the core idea. The big takeaway. For these folks, being quiet online isn't a bug. It's a feature. It's not a sign that they're shy or their life is dull. It's actually proof that they have a strong, solid sense of self that doesn't depend on what anyone else thinks. So what does this inner security actually look like day to day? Well, it's being content with your life just as it is, without needing a round of applause from the internet. It's having what psychologists call self-concept clarity. Basically, you know who you are. And maybe the biggest one, you're living your life for the actual experience, not just for the photo op. And why does this matter? Because this kind of security is often tied to less anxiety and just a greater feeling of being okay. You're not riding that emotional roller coaster of public opinion. I love this quote because it just flips the whole script, doesn't it? We've been taught to think that a life plastered all over the internet must be an interesting one. But maybe, just maybe, the real measure is the opposite. The less you feel you have to prove, the more secure you might actually be. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you're scrolling and you come across one of those quiet profiles, instead of just assuming they're shy or bored, just pause for a second. Consider a totally different story. Maybe what you're seeing isn't an empty page, but a full life. A life so rich and so validated from within that it just doesn't need to be posted to be real.